So David Cameron's been boasting about this today. Is he right to do so?
I think what he's right to be able to say is that Help to Buy has not been to blame for any of the talk of a bubble that we've been hearing. There's been a lot of criticism of the scheme over the last few months in relation to the fact that house prices, particularly in the southeast, have really begun to rise at the kind of levels seen before the last financial crisis. But what these figures do show today is that Help to Buy has only been responsible for a relatively small amount of transactions. And what that means is that whilst it's given a big psychological boost to the market, you can't really lay the double-digit growth we've seen in prices at the door of Help to Buy.
Which is what some critics have blamed it to. It looks like it's helping people who are largely first-time buyers, don't have big deposits, are not trying to buy houses which are very expensive and not in the southeast of England. So in all, it looks pretty good, doesn't it?
It looks pretty positive. I mean, I think where we have to be able to judge these things are in what they cost to the taxpayer and in regard of who are the people that they're helping and where are those people living.
How much does it cost the taxpayer?
Well, it doesn't cost the taxpayer anything unless people default on the money that they're borrowing. But I think the principal issues we have had with the housing market over the last few years have been two things. It's been the supply of credit, so it's people's ability to get a mortgage and ability to get that deposit together, and that's what the scheme has been very successful in helping. But the other thing which hasn't quite been addressed either by this government or any of the main parties' ideas and views over recent years has been the issue of supply. And we've had a constant silence over how do we fix this supply issue. And we've had a number of...
what you mean is building new homes.
Building new homes.
So ideally, how many new homes do you think need to be built every year to make you happy?
Well, it's not about me. I think.
But how many ideally? You're the expert. What numbers are you looking at?
Well, the broad numbers that we have from all parties are talking about 250,000. But what we have heard and what we've seen from this government and from other parties have been a number of small little things around the edges, such as helping self-build or helping small developers. And all these things are great and laudable. But fundamentally, the government owns lots of public land which it can develop. It's got the keys to the planning system, as we've seen with big infrastructure projects. It clicks its fingers and can make it happen. So what we need is an alignment of policy that gets the ducks in a row and starts to really get some of the houses building.
Which isn't going to happen anytime soon. So in the meantime, what's your advice to our viewers who are watching, who want to get on the property ladder for the first time? What can they do? Well,
I think it's about looking at the long term. So it's looking about where you want to be in 5 years' time and thinking where you can find a bit of value. And often people look in the wrong places. And by looking at, for instance, looking around transport links that are coming up. So around the country, you've got things like High Speed 2, you've got Crossrail in the south of England that's opening up all kinds of areas. And these places might have cheaper opportunities to pick up a house than picking up something in the centre of town that might be a bit overheated and a bit overpriced. So always consider what you could do and look at what you can afford.
Great advice, Andrew. Thanks very much for your thoughts tonight.